again, guys.
You're tuning into
The SciNet
or the resident podcast.
Chismis SciNet.
Your favorite podcast is back with a new episode.
But before we head to the main part, do you know ba guys na chismisanet comes from the Latin word ems? It's not Latin. But chismisanet is a combination of chismis and sinet.
Yes, how fun! We get to talk about stuff and kind of sharing the news in one.
But most importantly, the cheese face. Aling Marites of Hometown Cha 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 would be proud.
So true. Love the Marites vibes.
Anyway, what are you guys going to talk about this episode?
We're going to talk, or must I say, chica, about the Student Alliance.
So, do you guys remember the printer outside Neutron?
Oh my god, of course! I remember students lining up to print because the deadline's nearing.
Kaya nga, one time I was so noisy that a teacher lectured me about it.
I also remember getting dragged by a friend to pass by there kay she had a crush on one of the students in Neutron.
Yeah, it's really different compared to face to face.
Don't you miss the events? Like where we gather at the gym for the debate between the two parties?
Speaking of debates, we recently elected our new SA officers for school year 2021 to 2022.
Yeah, this year's SA must be going through a hard time.
I also think so. They're busy enough with the schoolworks, now they also have to run the SA.
Exactly. To that, we would love to give our warmest thank yous.
Now, enough with the chitter chatter, let's move on to the main part for this podcast.
For this podcast, we invited three very special guests from the current Student Alliance.
That is right, and for the first guest, you have probably heard of him as the dancing machine, Kuya John Lord Niza, in tandem with the social butterfly, Niflane Kapungkol, and our ever-charismatic leader, Ate Nicole Ann Eroba.
Let us now welcome the representatives who will serve as the voice of the student body. So, for our first question, how are your terms as SA officers going?
We're still just a month in ng term namin, so things are just starting to get heavier and more intimidating than we thought. But right now, we're already in the early stages of the processing of our projects, and I guess we're starting to get the hang of it. Although things get a little too much to handle because of our applications and requirements, but everything's normal, like that's all natural. We're used to it as PSHS scholars. But once we get the hang of it and our projects already start and they're already in the running, I guess it won't be a problem for us. Ikaw, what do you think, JL?
For me, personally, how am I? I'm fine. So don't you worry about that. About the SA, I actually agree with Nicole that things are just starting to get like we're starting to see the reality in it. Since we're just a month in and we have not really done much yet, we're still in that stage, like the transitioning stage from being candidates to actually doing the work.
Right.
But we're starting to get the hang of it. We're starting to incorporate this to our daily lives already. We're starting to get used to thinking about SA stuff every day. So yeah, it's been quite challenging to manage it at first, but right now it's like second nature already. It's starting to get second nature already. So I would say that we're doing very well. We're doing very well. Yeah, how about you, Niflane?
I actually agree to what both Nicole and Jean-Lord said. I also think that since we are still only a 1 month in, we are still adjusting to our roles and we're getting quite the hang of it. And yes, like it's already part of our nature and we already incorporate it in our daily lives. Like we all, like it's somewhat like every day we also think that we have roles and we have responsibilities that we have to fulfill, like tasks that we have to accomplish. Like for example, are the proposals for our projects.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it for my part.
Ah, I see. You surely can pick up some new things in unfamiliar territory.
So, joining the Student Alliance can definitely help widen your horizons and allow you to improve your skills. But despite all of the positive experiences, were there any challenges you encountered, being it that it has just been a month since you have committed yourselves to service?
I think the most challenging part of our responsibilities and our service is the simultaneous work, like fulfilling our roles as the Student Alliance and accomplishing our requirements in our academics. It's been quite hard for us to manage our time since everything is becoming overwhelming, but we're trying our best to manage our time properly. How about
Correct.
you, Jean Lord? What do you think?
I actually agree since just as we said earlier, we're still in that like adjustment stage towards realizing that we are actually SA officers and all that. So yeah, but to set it straight, to set it to say it to you first, we're actually very, I consider ourselves, the six of us, very diligent students. So we actually do our work. So don't you guys worry. We do that. We don't put off like a lot of work. We have
Right.
yeah, it's normal. Since we're trained precise scholars already, it's our last year here in precise, so we're quite used to the workload. But um essay actually requires some attention, so that's why we're slowly getting there, like the simultaneous stuff that we are doing. There are a lot of things on our plate right now, like ACADS, that's for one, extracurriculars, college applications. Oh my god, college applications, that yeah. But despite all of that, uh since we are willing to serve, since we committed ourselves to this particular organization, to these positions that we took up, we are, it makes it fulfilling that
Mm.
even though there are a lot of challenges, even though sometimes it's overwhelming, the amount of workload, the simultaneous stuff that's happening, even though a lot of that is present, that the fact that we can still do our work, the fact that we could still serve, it makes it quite fulfilling actually. So
Yeah.
even though we're having a hard time now, I believe that it is for something greater in the future, or yeah, it's for the student body. We're doing everything for the student body, so that makes it fulfilling actually. So yeah, how about
Yeah.
you, Nix?
I think like challenge I faced lately, actually it's communication, may it be with the students or the higher ups or even our advisor mismo. It's just that like there are things that get in the way of our communication. There are certain types of noises that interfere with how we understand each other. So we sometimes misunderstand some things, and for the proposals naman, it takes so long to just even get an approval from our teacher or even the higher ups, lalo na right now that our admin is still like in shambles kasi we we don't have a final ano yet, so we hope that we get that finalized so that hindi rin mahirapan yung students.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's right. And with time, naturally, the things that we used to find difficult will get easier and easier as we go on.
As you gain experience naman, what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of serving the student body in this setup?
um that's a bit of a hard question because given our setup, given this online setup that we have been in for almost 2 years in a few months, so it's actually quite hard to think of an advantage. So maybe it's the lack of physical labor required. Like we don't it doesn't take a lot of physical energy to fulfill our job. It doesn't require a lot of physical energy to fulfill our job, so we can all do our things like at the comfort of our own home with if
Yeah.
given that the Wi-Fi connection is stable. So for the disadvantages, however, um there are quite a lot. Some people may think
Countless.
that, yeah, it is countless. Some people might think that since we are in an online setup, that we are free, that sky's the limit and all that. But no, actually, there are a lot of limitations to what we can do and what we can have during the setup. Like the limit really does exist. For one, there is no interaction, like physical interaction with the students, which is the most exciting part of face-to-face
Right.
classes. Actually interacting with peers and seeing them being helped by the things that you are doing. So, and then yeah, just as what Nicole said earlier, another disadvantage is waiting for the response. Back during the face-to-face classes, we could just like barge into a room, not really barge, like not really barge, like formally, good morning, Paul, good morning, that, and then ask for the status of the proposals, the status of the things that we require. But right now, we actually need to wait a lot of time just for things to like happen, and that is not under
Right.
our power anymore when they will act or when they will do such things. So yeah, it's harder that way. And siguro the hardest one should be like what Nicole said, communication, like reaching the students is really hard. Of course, yeah, you actually um given we have a class president's GC where we relay our announcements from the SA to the class presidents, hoping that the class presidents will relay it to their respective classmates. However, we are not sure that if it reaches actually everyone, since people are in different, like my modular, there's modular, there are online modular, and there are only a few, like a number of fully online classes people. So we don't really know if it reaches them. So that becomes the
Yeah.
hard part. Like there are a lot of these noises that interfere with the progress that we are doing. So yeah, that's quite heavy. Those are a lot of, yeah, that's one advantage to a lot of disadvantages. So how about you, Nicole? What do you think of?
You mentioned that advantage yung less physical work. But to me, it's not an advantage. As a malikot, I need to like move around and to feel like I'm actually doing something. Because if I just sit in my room and then do my supposed work, it still feels kulang. And of course, one disadvantage talaga is not having our usual school events like the PSHS-EVC Christmas party, or even events that the SA does not organize, like Sports Fest, which Batch 2024 is very impressively spearheading right now. But
Wow.
but yeah, um, it just feels so sad that when we had those usual foam parties, party party, party, when we like tugs there in school, that actually those events really shape your high school life. So I feel very sad for the lower years who have never experienced, or maybe not gonna experience it in in a few years. Ah, just kidding. I hope everyone gets vaccinated so that we can have our face-to-face classes. But yun, that it's really hard trying to think of a project that we know students will participate in, because literally none of our projects could entail that all students could participate, right?
Yeah.
Like if we wanted to host a party, if we wanted to host an event, even if we say that it's for all the students,
Even
it's
if we say
actually
that
not,
it's shared,
right?
Yeah. Correct.
Kasi there are a lot of limitations. We have modular students and we don't know what we're gonna do about them. So we're trying very hard to like do projects that do not require everyone to attend.
Yeah.
It's really hard. How about you, Niflin? What have you thought about?
on my part, I actually really think that there's a lot of disadvantages with the setup that we have right now. And I think you have mentioned everything that I have in mind. And It's really sad that we don't get the interaction with the students. As someone that needs social interaction, like I mean, yes, some of us, needs the social interaction to, like become, I don't
Yeah.
know, like function properly or like, yeah, feel better.
Yeah, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
it's really different when you can see like when you can receive direct feedback like physically for what the things for the things that you have done for the things that you are planning. When you can receive like that direct feedback, it makes you think about things better. And
Yeah.
we unfortunately cannot have any of that during the online because yeah, we have to wait. It's not really that direct. We mentioned a lot of disadvantages compared to advantages, right? But the fact that we committed ourselves means that we really want to serve the student body. So I hope that you guys, the trust that you gave us, will like you will feel it. You will feel the things that we will do, because that's the goal. We want you guys to have an amazing school year despite everything. We will help you with that. So yeah.
Yes, choosing to join a student body organization is a really tough decision. Diba Moises, not only will you be sacrificing your time, but you also have to stay committed to your job.
True. However, one thing is for certain. Such experiences will definitely unlock their full potential.
With that, we would like to thank the current Student Alliance for committing themselves to service, and also a huge thank you for joining us on today's podcast.
That was a very enlightening talk, diba?
Yuppers, I wish you Ates and Kuyas good luck with your future endeavors.
And a warm thank you to the SA officers for your service to the student body.
Do you guys have plans for running for the SA in the future years?
I'm not sure yet. I think I wouldn't be running because there are better students out there who could really serve the student body.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also debating on that.
But what if the person listening right now would be inspired to run for SA in the future? Of course, if they feel like they could serve the student body's interests.
Yeah, what if? That would be so cool. I am sure our future SAs will also be remarkable.
As what they say, pampisay to.
Right.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode.
Once again, this is Chriselle Phoebe BU.
This is Pamela Hyson Claire A. Nardo.
And I am Rain Moises Adriatico.
Just in case you forgot our names.
That's all for this pod. See you next time.
And always remember,
Need a podcast to listen to?
Here's just Miss SciNet just for you.